Hi, this is Sylvia, and you can find me at sylviademott.com. And today I'm going to be talking about the difference between forcing a situation and flowing with the situation. And I want to start off by first just saying that I noticed that I was forcing this video to happen. And the way I noticed that was that oftentimes before I do a live video, I'll just jot down some points and then videotape myself talking about it to just warm up. And I noticed that I kept literally like starting the video and deleting it, starting it and deleting it, starting it and deleting it, and doing it so many times. And so, I think I was in a situation where I was forcing the video to happen, and I think now that I'm recognizing that that was what was happening and I'm able to identify it and share it right now, it's helping me to feel like, to get out of that place of forcing. And so I just had my lunch, which was a salad. And so I think I'm a little bit worried that I have something in my teeth right now. But if I do, I'm going to just ignore that and keep going. Or someone can tell me if they come online. But I want to first start off by giving you two more examples of what forcing feels like, and then talking about how to get into flow. And one of those examples happened to me this morning when I was making breakfast for my daughter, and she started to play with my phone, and I was annoyed because I didn't want her to be doing screen time. And then she got off the phone, but she went over to my computer and started playing with that too. And what I was telling myself at that moment was that she shouldn't be doing screen time right now. This is not okay. And what I ended up saying to her was, if you keep doing this, I'm going to get angry with you. And so that's my first example of forcing. And what caught my attention about the fact that I was forcing it was that I essentially told her that I was going to get angry with her if she kept doing it. And, getting angry is a choice that, I certainly wouldn't have to get angry with her. I could just say, let's stop this. Let's get back. Let's move on. But I had this idea in my head that I would allow myself to get angry if she kept going. And so that was my first example. And then my second example is going to a networking event last week. It was a fairly large one, and I felt uncomfortable going, and that's okay. Like I can go to a networking event and feel uncomfortable, but I noticed that I felt like I shouldn't feel uncomfortable, and I didn't want to seem like I was uncomfortable. And so when I did start speaking to people, then I kind of wanted to stick to the conversation so I wouldn't have to be by myself. And I think the way that I can see that I was forcing it was that I was hanging on to, I was really trying to keep those conversations going, rather than maybe allowing it to just be what it was, to have the conversation and then to move on. And then I think also I was forcing it by telling myself or not being okay with me feeling uncomfortable in the situation. And so because of that, I felt like this need to have to push myself into certain situations and keep them going maybe longer than they needed to. So those are my two examples of forcing a situation. And forcing can feel very heavy. It can feel like you have a lot of weight on your shoulders. It can feel like there's a lot of pressure behind it. So there's a certain expectation that you have about how things should be, and they're not going the way they should be. And so you're pushing them to go the way they should be. Like, my daughter should not be on the computer, so I should be telling her that I'm going to get upset with her if she stays on. So it's a lot of pushing, forcing, heaviness, and also potentially fear as well. So oftentimes I notice when I'm forcing myself in the situation, I'm feeling fear about, wanting to avoid a certain outcome. And then, and because I'm feeling that fear, then maybe I'm pushing myself. When in fact, if I could just let go a little bit, then, I might feel more in flow, or I might at least feel less pressure. So for instance, like doing sales, like that to me still feels uncomfortable at times because, when I'm focused on the outcome. So when I'm focused on the outcome and I have this attachment to, someone signing up, then I start to kind of feel like I'm forcing the situation. I'm starting to want something specific to happen and to be attached to that thing happening. And then when I'm attached to that thing happening, then there's fear around it not working out the way that I want it to. And, like fear that I'll be rejected, because then it becomes really about me versus about what's happening in that moment. So that is force. And then flow is more about really being in the moment and being connected to, what's going on in your head, connected to what's going on in your body, being open and present, being curious, seeing things without attaching to them, like being able to observe what's happening, not expecting that, not trying to force something to happen, but just kind of going with what is, and accepting the situation in that moment. And when you're in flow, you can do a lot of things really quickly, and it can feel like really, really easy. Like sometimes when I'm in flow, I can write really quickly without having to delete every single sentence and rewrite it, or I can do a video without having to delete it as well and then redo it. So it can feel very light and easy, and also joyful as well. It's a really nice feeling because you're not putting pressure, like you're not adding something external to the situation. I would say that the things that help to create flow are, one thing that's helped has been meditation. I think meditation helps because it allows you to start to observe more of what's going on in your mind so that you can have some detachment, so that you can recognize that what you're feeling in that moment without being quite as attached to that feeling. And then I think the other thing is just, recognizing when you're feeling tense in your body, noticing when you're trying to control a situation, noticing when you're trying to use your emotions to control the situation as well. So those are my thoughts. And I do want to say that sometimes it's not possible to go from force directly into flow. Like if you've been forcing a situation, it might be hard to go from that to getting into the flow of the situation. And so if you're in a situation where you're forcing things, I think the first step is really to see if you can detach enough so that you can accept the situation for what it is. Just accept what's happening. Instead of saying, this shouldn't be happening, I shouldn't have to deal with this, I shouldn't be so uncomfortable. Just accept this is what is happening and see if you can let go of judgment around that. So, when you're forcing, the first thing is just to accept. And to see then if you can detach just a tiny bit so you can accept a little bit more. So if you watch this, let me know what you think. Let me know what my ask from you is to share in the comments below. To share in the comments below how you know when you're in force versus flow, and also what helps you to get into a flow state or to start to detach from a force state. So that's my question for you. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Sylvia DeMott, and you can find me at sylviademott.com. Thank you. Bye.